Hey, ladies and gents, welcome back to the Pop Culture Podcast. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great week. Today I'll catch up with a good mate of mine by the name of Billy Stiles. For those of you in the comedy world, you know who he is. He's one of Australia's top comedians. He's reached some fine form over the last 12 months. And if you're from Melbourne, you're into the comedy scene, you'll know that once you're any good, you're a regular at the Comics Lounge, which is where this guy regularly gets up, and he's a blast to watch. I went and watched him last week, and he's that down to earth, just really basic observations, really silly jokes, and I absolutely love it. You get a taste for it in this podcast. He's a very easy guy to talk to. He's a very friendly, very open, very curious guy, and just like me, he's passionate about sport, so we've got plenty to talk about. And whenever there's a comedian who's excited about distance running, you're going to have my attention. And this guy is. We talk about little struggles with OCD. We talk about perfection. We talk about creative side of comedy. We talk about so much. I'm not going to try and give you an overview here. If you haven't heard of Billy yet, make sure you go and check him out. Find out when he's on at the Comics Lounge. Give him a follow on social media. Hey, do yourself a favor. Organize a night out around Billy Stiles. But for now, let me introduce to you, straight from his office, which is also referred to as a car, the great man, Billy Stiles.
I'm OCD about everything, but it's too much for me to deal with a lot of the time. So I just do everything imperfectly, because if I try and do it perfect, I'll never get it done. Yeah. That's why I leave things messy a lot. Because I'm like, if I start cleaning, there'll be one bit of dust that's annoying me for the whole day, you know?
It's so true, man. Have you ever heard of Casey Neistat?
Nah, who's that?
He's like a YouTube vlogger. And in 2015, he was like, all right, I'm going to do a vlog every day for 2015 and just see how we go. He's got like 10 million people follow his channel now. But he said the same thing. He's like, one of the big problems that I have, this is him speaking, one of the big problems that I have is I'll start something and I won't release it until it's 100%. And then as a result, it's like nothing ever gets released.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm the same, man. Like, if I get a comedy video, people have a go at me because you didn't edit your video properly. I'm like, that's because I couldn't deal with all the imperfections of it, so I just put it out as it was. I have that thing. So if I worried about things being perfect, nothing would ever get done. And that's been a problem of mine, because I give up on things because they can't be perfect.
It's fun. It's so true. My father-in-law is like that. You go to his house and you go into his shed, and he just looks like the biggest hoarder. It's crazy how much stuff is there. But then you talk to him and you have a bit of a chat about why he's not getting rid of anything. And he's got this massive grand plan about how everything's going to be sectioned off and packed away and all ordered. And I've been with Jesse now for like 14 years, and he's been saying it since before I was a part of the picture. And he's still got the broken axe handles in there, which aren't being improved. Oh, definitely. He's full-blown OCD, I reckon. It's definitely
Yeah, hoarding's a weird thing. I feel sorry for people when I see hoarders, their houses and stuff. I'm like, they don't mean, they would chuck it out if they could, but they actually think they're going to need it one day, or they're going to use it, or they're something in their brains, like they're sentimental or whatever. I get it. I totally get it. And I'm glad I haven't got that condition, because it would drive me crazy.
Yeah, seriously. I was having a little clean up here the other day, and my uncle, who passed away back in 2017, he had this, I wish I could show you. It's downstairs though. He had this painting, and it was like a take on the old, remember Jimmy Dean? And there was this old painting of him like behind a bar serving drinks. And it was just it was like, I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but it was like a famous painting or famous photo back in the day. Anyway, he was sort of taking the piss with it. He got a painting with him behind the bar, and like Mick Gatto and Alphonse Gangitano and a couple of the Melbourne gangsters all around the bar, him serving, and he got Gatto to sign it. And dude, It's been in my side drawer ever since he passed away. And I was having a clean up the other day, and I had one of those moments where I was like, I get hoarding, because that was one thing I've got so much sentimentality tied to it. I was like, I can't. It's been in a drawer. No one's seen it for 5 years, but I can't throw it out because I love Uncle Phil. It doesn't take much.
It's like the one thing I have that I can't chuck my junior sporting trophies out. It's like, I know no one's ever going to see them, and they're broken. Half of them have got no tennis rackets on them, or you know what I mean? Like the cricket bat's been snapped off, but I cannot bring myself to ever turf them.
Is it only that? Like, is it only that you're a bit OCD with, like getting someone to just getting the quality product out there, or is it other things as well?
I think, in a way, I think I mean, I'm not diagnosed OCD, but like when I was a kid, I used to snap so when I'd go to bed, we had these wind up windows, and I used to snap the handle off it by trying to get the window shut tighter. I'm like, it's not tight enough, and I'd just snap it off. I'd turn it so tight. So our windows in Mum's house can't be opened anymore because of me. and and also I would not watch TV if anything was in my vision. It didn't matter if it wasn't blocking the screen, but if it was on the floor in front of the TV, I couldn't. I'd say we'd have to move everything that's on the carpet in front of it.
Dude, I'm laughing, but I know how frustrating it is because I'm not just saying this to make you feel good. I think I told you at the Comics Lounge the other day, I was a shocker as a young guy. I was laughing with my mum the other day because I was telling her about this joke that I'm sort of trying to figure out at the moment, where I was talking about how I spent 3 hours one night when I was 14 trying to straighten like a National Geographic magazine on our coffee table. And then I opened it up to an article once it was straight, and the article was about how the world spins at a 23-degree angle. It's a bit crooked. And I thought, fuck, this is too much. Like I've just got the magazine straight, and now I've found out the whole world's still a bit tilted. It's like the worst news to an OCD. But dude, my bed was another one as well. I couldn't go to bed unless like the head of the bed was pushed up against the wall and the side of it was completely parallel. I don't know what got me out of it, but my mum woke up when I was about 30 or probably 12. She said, stop banging the fucking doors. Stop banging the wall. But I couldn't go to bed till it was straight.
Oh, yeah, mate. 100%. Like I needed the right amount of light coming into my room. Everything had to be a certain way. And it's been hard for people living in my life. Like I have to admit it would be, because you still carry it with you in a lot of ways, and you don't even realize it's just like, I'm weird and like, I'm sorry, but like I don't even know I'm doing it half the time, you know?
There's so many forms of it as well. OCD is a weird one because it's such a big umbrella of, like, some of it, you have conversations with people and they go, yeah, I'm so OCD. But then you talk to someone who's legitimately OCD and you're like, oh, no, you just like a tidy house. Like, OCD, weird thing.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend that used to vacuum at 7:47 every night. And it used to drive me insane, man. But if it wasn't done, her mood would drive me insane, you know?
Oh, so yeah, there's definitely that thing.
What was it's a worry. So you had it? Did you have it for athletics and that? With like, did you have to do certain things before a race to make
Not
sure
so
you
much.
felt like? No,
I felt like I kind of I had routines and rituals with running where but it wasn't OCD. It was just, you know, when you find something and it just works, so like a little pre-race routine. So my thing was, sort of probably looks OCD from the outside. I'd go out and I'd do like a 15-minute run, 15-minute jog about an hour before my race, stop, stretch, switch my shoes, go for a few strides. So it was really routine, but it wasn't, I always felt like any OCD stuff was surrounded with a heap of stress. That's like, unless I nail this, I'm not going to be able to rest. I'm not going to be able to relax. I'm not going to be able to sleep or whatever else. Whereas with running, it was like, I always felt like it was beneficial to what I was trying to do. I would go through it and I'm like, good, I'm getting closer to the goal or the actual plan. But OCD, man, like I reckon in distance running, or probably elite sport in general, I feel like it's such a prominent feature. Like whether you're talking to a golfer or like a tennis player or especially runner, there's so many OCDs in the running world.
Oh, well, and tennis. If you look at tennis, it's all routine. And there's a player called Richard Gasquet, and I never knew, but then once I found out, I couldn't stop looking at it. He taps inside each square before every point. Like so if you know a tennis court, there's the tram lines, they call them, up the side.
Yeah.
The doubles lines. He taps in there, but then he taps in the singles, and then he taps behind the baseline with his racket. And he has to do it every point. And I can't watch him anymore because
What?
I'm like, I'm focusing on that now.
What? Regardless of whether he's serving or whether he's receiving, that's what he has to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure of his
Oh,
serving routine, but his returning one is definitely tap, tap, tap. And sometimes when you got a big server, you're way back, so he has to walk up and do it and then go back. And I'm like, I can't watch this. Just play.
what stresses you out?
Yeah, it gives me OCD. I want to grab his racket and say, stop, man. It's not helping your game at all, but you think it is.
Yeah. How do you go with Nadal? Because he's got a few little quirks as well.
Yeah, same thing. His drink bottles. Have you seen him set up his drink bottles? Man, a ball boy knocked one over and Nadal went off one day at the kid. But we're just weird. Humans are just weirdos, I guess.
Especially that pointy end of the spectrum, because you look at Nadal as a kid and he's your hero, and you wouldn't think that such a small thing would take you off. It's weird with sport though. I always felt like I was really touchy when I was in a competitive mode. When I wasn't OCD, but my wife used to always say to me, she'd be like, dude, an hour or two before your race, I just kind of went cold. And I felt like even still, like, dude, I was doing I went out for a tempo run or like a threshold run this morning, and I wasn't going like crazy pace or whatever, but just with about a K to go, this older lady sort of half got in my way. And it's so funny to say it, like, but it's such a conscious effort not just to snap, because you're already feeling rubbish, you're already working hard. And then when someone cramps your style, I kind of get the Nadal snap. But as like a ball boy, you feel sorry for them, hey, because you just look at them like they've got all their shit together, and they're going to be nothing but encouraging.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. Like, yeah, and well, it works for Nadal, doesn't it? I guess.
Yeah, true.
Can't knock him. You have to
yeah. You were telling me about some golfer the other day who was doing what I was just telling you. He'd spent like all night trying to straighten a piece of paper.
Yeah, Scott Draper. Well, he was a tennis player. That's how I know him. He's about my age and that. And he had OCD so bad that he was trying to do like what you were doing, up all night, straightening a bit of paper on his desk to make it perfectly cornered. But he had like a major event the next day, and he still couldn't. He had to do that. That was more important than getting sleep, And he won. He ended up winning. So, man, there's an Australian story episode about him, Scott Draper. Yeah. So, but it was that, in a way, I think it's that OCD that was what made him good at tennis and golf, I suppose, because you got to have obsession. You got to be obsessed, don't you?
Yeah, so he played both sports at like an elite level.
Elite. Yeah, elite. Like, yeah, he made it in both, but not super high, but like enough to make a living.
Yeah, man. Did you watch The Last Dance?
Yeah, I did have a look at it. Yeah,
That Jordan one?
Yeah,
I think it was during lockdown. It was a couple of years ago, but man, honestly, you could go to any sport and look at the top of the top. Comedy's probably no different, I reckon. Like there's a lot of little funny quirks. I find there's a lot of correlations between distance running, my experience there, and just the world of stand-up comedy in the way that some people go about it. Like you've been in it longer than I have, but one of the things that I notice is it's probably a bit different to the running world is you've got like two ends of the spectrum. You've got like your alcoholic kind of drug addicts, kind of like a little bit of chaos everywhere, who are attracted to the comedy scene. And then you've got people who are, from the sporting world and disciplined, but it's weird how both can kind of work. I always just thought
I'm from both. But like I was an alcoholic sports person, so I'm both ends.
How does that work with you with comedy? Like with what you were saying before about, just getting so caught up that it's hard to release anything. How do you go with releasing new jokes and stuff like that? Do you find that hard?
Yeah, it's hard to spit it out. I just force myself to have a crack at a new thing. But I'm so obsessive that I usually have a fair idea in my head how it's going to go. Sort of. I feel like I'm not guessing as much as a lot of people when I'm doing new material. I've got a fair idea. Yeah, and before I go to the stage with it. So
you're sort of you're imagining what their audience response will probably be at certain parts throughout your writing process, are you?
Oh, I just think I think that's funny. So it kind of should be. If I think too much about jokes, they never work. So I don't think too much. I'll just go, oh yeah, that's there. Usually they come to me and I'm like, yeah, that's on. That one's on. I feel it. I feel it when it's a joke straight away. I don't write jokes. I haven't written a joke.
Ever?
No.
How do you remember them all? Do you like write them down in your notes in your phone? Like, have you got a word that reminds you of a
Yeah,
joke?
like I'll write this is funny. Like the recent joke I wrote was about getting hacked. I was on Optus and I just wrote, because everyone was worried about being hacked because someone will steal their identity. And I just wrote, they can have my identity. So the joke was just, so whatever I say around that's the joke. So I just got to work out why having my identity is good or bad and say that.
That's so,
are they going to pay my fines? They can have the whole thing. They can have my relationship if they want. And that came break up with my girlfriend or whatever, do that. Have the whole thing. Pay my e-tag, can you?
Yeah, like everyone's approaching that situation like they're a multi-millionaire with secret documents and like a mistress on the side.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I think the punchline was they'll find out that I owe Blockbuster Video $76 from 1998. Hack me if you can,
That's good. So what are you like, was that just a news story you heard, or were you genuinely part of Optus and you got hacked?
I am with Optus. No, I am. And I got an email from him and I'm like, all right, okay, so what are you going to do? You can't really take anything because I don't have anything. So you're in a worse position than me. You're being me. You can be me, and I'll like that's fine. Have a go at it. See if you can do a good job because I haven't.
Oh, that's
there
awesome.
You go, being me, hackers.
Oh, are you doing comedy full time now? What's the story? Because I know you're in your van or your car, are you? So I know you used to drive around a fair bit doing deliveries or whatever it was. But then I was speaking to our mate Shane the other day, and he was like, "No, he's full blown comedian now."
Yeah, I do. Yeah, full time pretty much. When it's good, but occasionally, yeah. The only work I do that's not comedy now is if there's no comedy, like not much, and I'll go out and do some deliveries, door dashing, and like Uber Eats type stuff. But I haven't had to do it for a while. I quit my job full time. Must have been back in August or something. Truck drive.
Yeah. So you were on the road. You were sort of always on the road there, weren't you?
Yeah. And that suited comedy for me, because you can work on stuff when you're driving. Like you can just go through it in your head what you're going to say or whatever. So
how have you gone from have you found that transition from full-time work in the van to just sort of having all day to yourself? It's a weird transition for some people. Hey?
In a way, I didn't. It took a while to adjust to, but then I felt lazy because you're not right, because you think I should be writing 50 new jokes a day or thinking of 50 new jokes a day, but you're not. A lot of the time you just think you shouldn't be, you're not good enough because you're like, today passed and I tried to think about stuff and didn't have one idea. So then I went back to work for a little bit, like did the deliveries. And as soon as I did that, some jokes came. So sometimes being free and having 100% focus on one thing, probably not that healthy.
Yeah. It's weird how that happens, isn't it? I'm still trying to figure this out a bit because sometimes I'll sit down with a notepad and a book, and I think like the discipline side of me likes to go, okay, Tice, you wrote for 30 minutes today, good boy. But then sometimes I'll sit down and write for 30 minutes and I'll read it back. I was like, there's nothing there that's ever going to be funny. Like that's not. And then some days, like you say, I'll be out going for a run and I'll see something, or I'll get the equivalent of an Optus message. You go, actually, that's awesome. That's very funny.
I reckon when you're ready, if you can relax and that, your brain will send you the analogy I use is like I think your subconscious brain is a lot. I mean, it's a lot more intelligent than your conscious one. So there's people working in the factory up the back full time in my head. So I just go, can I have a joke, please, guys? Get on it, get on the case, because that's what you're paid for. So, but they don't spit it out while you're thinking about it. It's like as soon as you can switch it off, you switch it off, and then they'll send it to you. The blokes up the back of the factory. If you're always thinking about it, you kind of let them do the magic. It's frustrating because you got to wait, but like trying too hard sometimes, nothing's funny, you know.
Yeah, man.
That's I don't know how there'd be an artist that can say it better, but I know that there's back here, someone's working on jokes for me right now.
Yeah, that's such a good way to look at it as well, because it takes any pressure for you to have to make a certain amount of jokes each day. Like it removes that. Bob Dylan said it real good, man. In his I don't know if you've read his book, Chronicles. Jesse bought this for me a few years ago.
Did he say the answer is blowing in the wind?
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said.
No, he didn't. I mean, he's got a song.
I mean, he did say that as well, but he was talking about how I wish I could read it to you, but he talks about how he would write a song, and he's like, a lot of the time when he writes a song, it's not ready. He goes, sometimes it is, but sometimes he's got a couple of songs and he thinks they're actually both going to be one. So he goes, I'll put two pieces of paper in a drawer together and just let them talk to each other for a couple of months. And I was like, what a cool way to put it. Like, because I'm that OCD part of me goes, no, this has to be finished by 4 p.m. because I just want to get it done. And then I'll go down there and say some just bullshit joke that's not funny. Whereas it's true. Sometimes just giving a bit of room to breathe is the way to go. Do you find that easy? Like once you say, all right, little blokes at the back of my head, you're on it now. Do you find it easy to switch off from it, or do you still have to sort of be pretty conscious about it?
I've still got to turn up and be in the office. You know what I mean? Like just in case. So I'll be in the office trying to do the work, but there's more of them back there, I think. Like I have to set my intention to them. I have to make the order, and the order is me probably sitting there with a bit of paper going, is this what's funny? And they hear the question. I sound crazy, man, but I am crazy. Like artists, I'm not really an artist. I guess I am, but we think different and we have to. Otherwise, we're just accountants.
Yeah, it's so true.
You know? Otherwise, I'm just managing Hungry Jacks or doing something that I've tried to do that just doesn't. So I guess we've got to think differently, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so
hard.
True. It's what's attractive about artists, though. I reckon that's why I like Bob Dylan, because he's such a weirdo. Like he'll start talking, I go, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm not even convinced you know. But everything you say, like he says everything with such an air of mysticism. I'm like, there's got to be something there that I'm the dumb one, and he's just operating on another level. And I feel like the music industries, or like the what do you call it? The artist industry is just filled with people like that. Sort of runs shoulder to shoulder, doesn't it? Like look at Kanye. He's right up there, and I mean he's a wild man himself.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I'm just going to shut my window.
You're right, man.
There's birds chirping. I don't know if you can hear them.
Don't wind it up too hard, yeah?
No, no, it's automatic. It's not, the car's not that old. Yeah, I think we're always asking questions about life and have done for a long time. That's why I always take artists pretty seriously if they have an opinion on something, because they think on so many different angles to like a normal person. So they look crazy to some people, but sometimes intelligent looks crazy.
Yeah. So which artists do you like going to? Are there any in particular?
Oh, no, I'm not. No, I don't. I'm not into art or anything, but like I'm into like people that are like, I seem to get on better with people that think like deeper a bit
Yeah.
than someone that, I don't know. I like people that feel heaps. That's who I'm driven to people that I'm drawn to people that are feel like heavy emotional, but sometimes that's not healthy either. You got to be able to not be sad and you know what I mean? Like some people, it's in a way where I'm too emotional in a lot of ways.
That's funny, man. It's funny for people who don't really know you as well, because I reckon you see you on stage and you got that dry sort of humor where it's silly.
Mm.
It's just silly jokes. And then, so are you more natural in a conversation where it's like you go straight to the big issues, straight to the deep stuff, or are you comfortable with banter and stuff?
I'm comfortable with everything, but like I don't think it's weird to ask someone if I don't know, like the stuff they say blokes should be doing with each other. I've been doing that forever, asking asking how you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, are you? Like, I probably get too personal too quick sometimes, but the people that don't care, they're the ones I like. You know?
Yeah. What? So you won't
They're the
hold
ones
back
I'm
asking
going to be
it?
mates with. I'm like, that dude's honest. He didn't pretend he was happy when he wasn't.
Yeah.
Just say you're sad, mate. I don't care. I'm sad. Sort of. I might be that day. We can be sad together, man.
Yeah.
Or, and we'll work out what we're going to do about that sadness. Are we going to drink a slab or go for a 10K run? Either's good.
Have you got a preference?
Oh, it used to be the slab, but then I would do both some days because I felt guilty. I'd run 10K, then drink a slab.
You got to stay hydrated.
But I used to call it balance. Yeah, funny. But
It's fun.
man, I remember when we started chatting. It was about once I found out you're a runner, I'm like, oh sweet, I'll get on with him. Like Steve. If you didn't, you knew who Steve Prefontaine was, and that was like, that's enough.
That's so funny, man. Dude, I was actually watching this just before. I was watching this. I might go a little on the screen here for a second. Where is it? I'll share the screen with you. I was watching this just before I came on, like a little Prefontaine interview. I was like, oh, what do people like so much about it? But tell me if you can hear this.
It's for the money in that mile race.
Can you hear that at all? Or
Right
might be.
to hold of the whole crowd
Yeah.
here, and you're obviously pretty pleased about it. Very pleased. Very pleased. Was it a tactical plan to go out from the front?
Well, I think everybody knew my plan. For me to win a race against competition of that nature, I have to go out hard and just about lead from the start because the runners in that field, except for Jim Johnson, are all runners that hang on and then outkick you at the last. So my tactics was just to go strong and run the first 3/4 of a mile hard and then just hang on the last quarter.
Well, you didn't.
Dude, he's such a boss with like that kind of attitude. He's just the kind of guy that's like I think I respect that kind of attitude. Someone who's just willing to, he just sort of puts his balls on the line a little bit. And I watch little things like that just before my day gets started as well, just to give me a little bit of a pep up. But it was so random. When you told me you knew Prefontaine that first time, I was like, hang on a second. I didn't know anyone in the world of comedy knew who this bloke was.
Oh yeah, man. I spent a whole week taking in everything about that dude. Once I learned about him. I can't remember how I came across him. Maybe the movie was on, or I don't know. I don't know how I discovered it. But once I took in everything, and I got to the stage where I couldn't find any more information about him. I knew everything, and I don't know why. I just like free spirits, and he was one. I'm always like into people that are different, and he was like for a runner, because like he says in that interview, he's like, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to sit on someone's shoulder until 100 meters left and go, they've done all the work. I'm just going to take their work off them. He goes, I'm going to win it from the start. If I'm not good enough to hang on, then bad luck. Yeah. And most of the time, he was good enough, except for that Olympic final.
So crazy. And you forget he was 21 there. Like he was still a kid.
That's way too young to be winning gold at the Olympics in that event, isn't it? Pretty much. Maybe not now, but
yeah, it's weird with the Kenyans, especially like back in the early 2000s. There was a fair bit of speculation because Eliud Kipchoge, he won that event at the World Champs in 2003 as a 17-year-old kid. And at the time, I was a bit skeptical. I was like, as if this kid's actually 17. But then now the fact he's still breaking marathon world records 20 years later, you're like, oh, he probably was. But like, especially for Western athletes, for whatever reason, there's exceptions. You know Jacob Ingebrigtsen?
I know that name. Yeah.
He's Norwegian 1500 meter runner. I think he won. Well, he definitely won the Tokyo Olympics 15. I think he was 19 or 20. But the longer ones for sure, you don't see it that much. So yeah, it would have been crazy. It would have been amazing to sort of watch what happened with Pre if he wasn't killed. Like I think he was killed at 24. Like he was a kid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like a year before the Olympics was going to come around again, I think.
Yeah, when was he? I think he died in 74 or 75, maybe. Yeah.
So the Olympics he went to was 72.
Yeah.
So I imagine he died in 74 or 75, yeah. And the way he ran that race in 72, there's no reason why he wouldn't have won it the next time. Yeah. Man, because he would have adjusted and been older. Man, I still think about what would have happened on a lot in that. I think, yeah, I get so obsessed with things. My first runners that I was into, and I'm not like super into it. One of my best mates at high school was in the state running teams and that. So he'd tell me about people and that. But then, the first ones I was into, I used to watch it late at night was Sebastian Coe and Steve Cram and Steve Ovett, those three. But mainly but out of those, I liked Sebastian Coe because he had personality, you know.
Yeah, it's funny.
He'd turn and look at his opponent as he's running past him and just like sort of say see you later.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like about Ingebrigtsen, that guy I mentioned to you at the World Champs. What year is it now? 2022. Was it World Champs this year? I've lost track. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, World Champs this year. He just got beaten in the 1500, and then he went into the 5K. And dude, with like 7 laps to go, he was on the back straight, and he was like, he's doing this to the crowd, like, come on, like, raise your voice, go.
7.
And it's crazy to see, man. And then he's the kind of guy that with 100 meters to go, he's sitting in 4th and he starts celebrating because he's like, I'm going to win.
You know.
It's just weird. Like, there's no. Yeah. That's what I like about UFC. And that's what I liked about Donald Trump a little bit. It's like they're just smartasses. I don't necessarily have to like the people, but just watching the attitude that some people bring to a sport. It's like, how can you look away? Like Conor McGregor, I don't care that much about UFC, but he comes on the screen and like, actually, I'm pretty interested.
Yeah, like Nick Kyrgios in tennis, like everyone goes, everyone bags Nick Kyrgios, but like, how boring would it be without him? You know, like you need people like that. McEnroe was in tennis, and everyone hated him at the time. But then when they're 35 and they're about to retire, everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to be sad to see you go, mate."
That's what it always felt like with Leighton Hewitt. I felt like when he was playing, everyone hated him.
I did.
And then now he's like a respected voice in the tennis world. It's funny. I guess it's weird growing up in the public eye as well, because especially for tennis players, you might come in if you're good at 18 or 19. And I'm 35 and still say so much bullshit. So I can't imagine what it's like. Like if you would have recorded any of my conversations at the age of 18 and played them back to me, I probably would have thought I was a flog too. Lots of times I still think I'm a flog. Do you know? So
I always say I'm glad I didn't start comedy young because I would have got kicked out of it. Like my attitude would have been too much. Like I had to learn lessons about dealing with people before I would have made enemies in comedy at 25.
What do you mean? Like, what were you doing?
I would have had I deserve attitude, kind of entitled. I'm better than that because you have to learn in life that sometimes, even though you're better than someone, they're better at certain other things. And I don't think I would have kept my mouth shut enough to stay in it.
Yeah, what you reckon? You would have been banned from too many rooms and.
Yeah, 100%.
Dude, it's funny.
I was drinking, so I would have said stuff. Yeah, for sure, I would have. Man, especially if the internet was around, I would have fired off text messages at 2 a.m. to people.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's funny. I got involved in comedy because I always thought it was just a place where you could come and you could just say whatever you want at whatever room and no one
Mm,
cared. And then when I got involved in it, I was shocked, especially here in Melbourne, man. Like
mm,
there's certain rooms where if you just know you're not going to get a gig if you say the wrong thing. And I find it really hard because obviously
mm.
you want gig, and I'm not that controversial usually, but then I also don't want to not say something just so I can get a gig at a certain room. So I don't know
Nah,
what
you
your
want to,
motto
yeah.
is with that, but I've kind of just gone, all right, well, like if I have to cramp anything that I'm going to say because the particular room runner's not happy with it, I just go, okay, I won't. I just won't perform there. Because I went to Louis C.K. the other night, and dude, he's not performing in 50% of Melbourne comedy rooms with his set, and he's the best in the business, you know.
Mm,
And I find in like we're such a PC kind of culture now, and you 47 or 48 or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
48.
so you probably know it better than me. Like it's such a new thing, just how much it's grabbed the culture by the scruff of the neck and said, "Oh, you can't say this and you can say that." I'm like, I'm not interested in any of that. I just want to say if it's funny and hopefully do it in a funny enough way that can make people laugh, even if they completely disagree.
Yeah, I didn't know it was like it is either. And I mean, it has. Yeah, some people are very sensitive, others not sensitive enough. But Melbourne. I noticed when I've gone to other states to do comedy that we're a bit uptight, even though, yeah, I don't stick up for. You know how people get parochial about what state they're from and stuff. I don't feel that for Melbourne because I'm like I notice when I go other places that we're a bit uptight and stiff and could be a bit looser about life, but I think that's just the Victorian way. And I used to hear it as a kid when they'd say like kick a Vic in the footy and that South Australians and that hated us. New South Wales hated us. And I'm like, I wonder why. And I never knew why, and now I kind of do. I reckon like there's certain things about the way we live down here. Maybe it's because we don't get as much sun. That's maybe we're not as happy.
Yeah, I wonder.
Like for so many months of the year, we're just like on the tram in the rain, while they're living. I don't
Definitely
know, man.
noticeable. I feel like it's a different level even when have you been to London?
Nah.
Like, I love living there, man. But when I first got there, I lived there for a year and a half in like
Mm,
2016, 2017.
yeah.
And when I was there, the first thing that struck me was just everyone in the city felt so grumpy. Like
Sad. Yeah.
I'm probably a bit too over the top. So I'll go down and smile at everyone, even if they don't want a bar of me.
Mm,
And I got there, you're just trying to make eye contact with people, and it didn't happen. I think it's a combination of and it was only in the big city. Like you'd go up north or whatever into the smaller countries and all the country sort of regions, and you'd get that friendly smile back again. But I guess it's the same here. Like you go into a big city where there's 4 or 5 million people, it's sort of hard to like use all that energy that it takes to be happy on everyone. But
yeah.
yeah, it's weird as well
Oh
because I
yeah.
think Australians we always pride ourselves on being such happy and friendly kind of people. But I've spoken to a few people who travel here and they're like, nah, like I kind of find Aussies cold sometimes, and I
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
anything.
I've heard people. I've heard that. Yeah, we're not Paul Hogan. That's for sure. We're
Nah,
not Crocodile Dundee. Like we're meant to be. It's not that. We're definitely not our image. That's for sure. We may have been, but we're not now.
that's some good
Mm.
marketing. Yeah, dude. Like that was
I
like
thought during that pandemic, I saw people acting like, you saw it too, like not like they weren't laid back,
yeah.
were they?
I wasn't either, but I was not laid back on. I felt like I got to a point where I was like, fuck, like it's so ridiculous that it just annoyed me. Like, I'm happy for everyone to have an opinion on whatever it is. But what annoyed me about the pandemic was like, it was like if you had the wrong opinion, which I did, you can't say it. You're not supposed
Yeah,
to say
well,
it. And I was not
not
interested in,
necessarily, not necessarily the wrong opinion. That the not majority opinion or whatever.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. You people. I saw that, and people that are against say they're against bullying were bullying. So don't say you're against bullying if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know if you noticed this as well, but one thing I was relieved about was because I felt like during the middle of the pandemic there was so much tension between everyone, and I put some stuff out there that got some heat and whatever.
Mm.
But then I was like, oh, it's crazy how tense everyone is. But then you forget that so many of the people that disagreed with anything I said, you go and meet them face to face, and they're lovely. Like it's
Yeah. I think people
there's a
have
lot of tension in it. Yeah.
online personalities and in your face personalities are totally different things. I don't care what anyone does. Do what you want, but don't hassle me about what I do. That's my. You can, yeah. Just everyone can do what they want as long as they leave me alone.
Seriously, like it's such a fair request. It's
Yeah,
such a fair request.
don't try and ruin my life. You know, just let me, and I'll leave you alone too, and then we'll all be friends. You know, but yeah, you see bad sides of people when given a chance. Some people, when given a chance to bully, they love it because they're sad.
That's what you forget, isn't it? Like you forget that a lot of the time. My mum used to say that to me about others. Like if you're getting bullied at school, don't get angry at the person. Feel sorry for them because they probably hate themselves. I was like, Mum, that's pretty deep. I'm only 6, you know. But it's true. Like as you grow up, you realize that I know I'm more of a prick when I'm not happy or when I'm stressed or upset. A lot of the time.
Yeah, you always want to take it out on somebody, and then you walk away going, "Shit, I feel guilty now." So. A lot of people, I wonder if they do. Some of the people, I wonder if they do feel guilty about what they did. But probably not, because people put their head in the sand too. So whatever. But
yeah,
we all learn, man. And you just got to stay happy in your own head and try not to affect others, I guess. I don't know. It's deep.
It's true. That was the thing that I want to talk about it more than ever. But I want to talk about the pandemic more than ever now because everything that everyone was telling me. Remember when they were saying get vaccinated to stop the spread? And I was like, oh, we'll just wait and see if it does. And then it didn't. And now everyone's like, nah, but come on, maybe it might have. You don't know. I'm like, no, but we do. And it's interesting now when you got like a couple of years of hindsight to go, okay, which countries didn't force it, or which states didn't force it, and do they really work? Like, how's Sweden going? The answer is like they're pretty fine. They're just as good as us.
Yeah, man, I don't know what happened. The whole thing is like didn't happen now. I'm like, oh, okay. That was all for what was that all about? Like, because it's still here.
Yeah.
And they're not reporting deaths anymore. I don't know. I really don't know what happened. I'm confused still, but man, let's hope it never happens again.
Seriously, how nice is it that this is the I feel like these conversations now were the exception. I remember a year and a half ago, I was like, I just can't wait until these conversations it's not dominating every area of my life. I felt like every conversation I had back then was like it was just all COVID. I'm like, oh, it's just so exhausting because we all see it differently. We all got different ideas. So I'm relieved. I'm relieved. Yeah,
Djokovic was probably the most famous person that was treated badly, and he stuck to his guns. And he's playing the Aussie Open next year. So he had to be able to play. There was no reason. They just could not stop him. Like,
it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous to have him back here.
Yeah, that man. I didn't know what the world was coming to. He's like the fittest person in the world, and he had like overweight, obese people telling him to look after the hospital system.
It was the first time in my life I've had so many people with man boobs giving me health advice.
That's what I used to say about you. Like, you're the healthiest person I know. Like, you've looked after your immune system, and you got people that haven't telling you you're a bad person.
Yeah,
man.
And people get angry. People get angry at me as well because I was like, look, I know if I get COVID, I'll be over it in a week. And people are like, oh, you don't know, Tice. I'm like, I'm pretty confident. And then I got it. And I was, dude, like day 6, I went for a run. And my neighbour, like, he's the best.
Was it a good time? Was it a good time? Or just...
Oh, bro, no, it was actually. I say I went for a run. It was. I actually, honestly, day one, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be that Mister didn't take the vaccine, and now I'm gonna die because I got whacked pretty good with it. I was like, oh shit, here we go. I'm gonna eat my words. I'm gonna be front page of bloody The Age tomorrow. My wife got it too, and I looked like a little bitch compared to her. Like I was so soft. She was much better. But my neighbor Mark, best bloke in the world, really lovely guy. He just lives on beer and fish and chips. And he's had 25 needles. And every time I see him, he's like, oh, I'm still recovering from COVID, mate. But last night he got out of his car, he had his Thursday night fish and chips and a big slab of beer. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm still doing it tough. It's like, mate, whenever you want some help, I'm happy to point you in the right direction.
Yeah. What's your do you ever eat junk food?
Yeah, I think this is an OCD thing a little bit as well. I do, but if you ask Jessie, my wife, that question, she'd be like, "Nah, he's over the top." My weakness is chips, like hot chips. I actually love them. So if you got a bag of hot chips in front of me, it's the exception, honestly. Like I probably need to relax a little bit more. One thing Jessie does, which is good, is she looks after her health and her fitness, and she eats well. But she'll eat chocolate, she'll have wine, she'll eat I feel like she appreciates the finer things in life. Where I get a little bit I get a bit methodical. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's just because I can't be bothered thinking about it. Like my day-to-day diet, like it's just mostly natural, unprocessed stuff.
What's the most drinks you've ever had in a session?
Oh, probably. I'm laughing at this because I've got some mates who listen to this show that were there on this night. It was 2015, and I wasn't going to drink. And sorry, it was 2014 going into the new year. And we went out to it was actually, dude, you'll like this. It was Aaron Baddeley's parents' house. I'm friends with his sister. And we'll talk about that.
Where's Aaron Baddeley from?
He's Victoria.
Huh.
As far as I know, unless they moved down. But dude, I went out there because he's got two sisters. And like one of my best mates is married to his sister.
Okay.
So
where'd you grow up? What town?
I grew up in Gippsland, in Traralgon.
Oh, yep. Oh,
and then moved to Perth when I was like 8 for 6 years with my mum.
And then came back to
I've been all over the shops. Yeah, came back to Traralgon. Then I went to Ballarat, Melbourne. Now I'm in Point Lonsdale. They call me a state slut. I've been all over the
One
shop.
day I was a funny story about Traralgon. Like we were betting on sports, me and my brother, and like there was nothing else to bet on, and we're like, oh, Traralgon tennis tournament's on, and like in one of those minor professional events
in January.
I go, hey,
a January tournament, was it? They have like their world championship for juniors there in January. Like
it wasn't that one. It was like a next level, like challenger level, up and comers, but not juniors, and. So there was odds. Thanasi Kokonakis was playing a guy called Ward from England, Great Britain. And I said to my brother, do you want to put a heap of money on and just go and watch it live? And like, he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we loaded up $500 on this guy from England. And we went down and we were the only ones there. Like, no one was watching it except us. And Thanasi couldn't work out. Thanasi Kokonakis couldn't work out why these Aussie dudes on the side of the court were cheering for this English dude. And he won, and the English guy won, and we won like $500. And then Thanasi walked off. He was only like 17, 18, and he walked behind the clubhouse and started crying. And we felt so bad. But then we went to Traralgon Pokies and blew the money.
Dangerous. Yeah.
But it was anyway, that's my Traralgon story.
That's a good story. I've been to the not that tournament that you're talking about, but in 2002, who was the big he's the big black French player and he recently retired. He looked like Muhammad Ali.
Joe Wilfred Zonga.
Dude, I think I was a ball boy. It might not have been for his match, actually, but in 2002, he played in the final in the January Junior World Championship. It's got
the honour board. We saw it when we were there. It's got Federer up there on the Traralgon. They've got an honour board for who's won it. And yeah, and Yeah, Gail Monfils would have been down there the same time. Yeah,
The
Zonga.
biggest names. Yeah, man. I was either ball boy for his match or I was ball boy for the women's match that year. I can't remember, but it blows my mind. Like that's Trogan's claim to fame, I think. Apart from Trogan footy team, some of the names that have been through that town, like as you said, Federer, Hewitt played, Kokonakis as a gun. I bet Kyrgios has been down there.
Yeah,
Joe Wilfred
it's the
Songa.
lead-in. It's the lead-in tournament for the Australian Open Juniors, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was down there the other day. I was going for a run and I ran past the courts and there was a heap of people. It looked like there was some serious players around there. I think it's just the biggest tennis complex in, I don't know if it's in Victoria, but I can't figure out why they Trogan.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got the same surface as the Australian Open, so I don't know. They just pick regional. A lot of the Bendigo's got a centre like that. The big towns get them, I think, for the kids squads, for the country kids, I think.
Yeah. Do you follow tennis closely?
Not anymore. I'll know who. I'll follow the majors. Like I'll watch the Aussie and the US and the French Open and Wimbledon, but that I don't tune in much apart from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like no one's got their finger on the pulse of so many sports as what you do. Like even blew my mind. I was talking to Shane the other day when we went to Rockbank or Caroline Springs and we rocked up to that gig and no one came. And so we said, all right, we won't do this gig. We'll just go and get some Vietnamese pho. And we sat at that table and it's like we were saying it's the ultimate boys' night, sitting there eating a bowl of vegetable pho and talking running stats and footy stats and player heights and player possessions and
that's information I can retain without trying that hard. But try and get me to remember like who started the Baltic War or something. But like I can't. But if you tell me like some footballer runs sub 4-minute Ks, I'm like, yeah, I'll follow his career.
That's so funny, man.
I one of the first jokes I ever wrote was about how when I'm at a dinner party, like people will be talking about politics, and I'll be like, how do I get dead wrestlers from the 1980s into this conversation? You know? So that's my thing. Yeah, I'm just into sports since a kid, man. You know what it's like, and I'm obsessed.
Sport's good as well because it's more black and white. Like the answer of like how many championships has Federer won? It's like there's an answer. Whereas how did the Baltic War start? I bet if it's like any other war, there's 37 different stories. Like these 12 people said that this was and you're like, oh, I'm not sure. Like, there's so many details that go into this. It's like people are still asking me how World War I started. I go, just ask my wife. She's got a better answer than me.
Yeah, some people are into that too. That's their thing. The other day I was doing a gig with Luke Kidgel, right? And I was MC, so I had to learn. I just Googled him to see what I'd say when I bring him on. And like 3 articles down was something about his junior running in the Diamond Valley League. And so I just went straight to that. And I got to the gig and I go, hey, Luke, I heard like I had a look at your times for running. They're pretty good, man. Like, and David Rose goes, like after about 10 minutes, David Rose was there and he goes, I can't believe all you're talking about is his running times.
It's so true. It's probably refreshing to the guy.
I go, dude, I don't need, like, I go, I'm interested in that. I don't care about funny that much at the moment. Like you know what I mean? Like,
what time did he run? Or what times did he run?
Pretty good, man. Like it was a 1500 time in about 4 minutes or something like that, which is
wow, man.
What was yours for 15?
Well, I think I'm about 10 years older than him, but I ran 3:49.
Yeah, so it wasn't as quick as yours because I told him yours. I'm like, Tyson was good. It wasn't as quick as yours, I know that, but it was like pretty good for 1500. It was 4 minutes something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What gig was that? Where were you?
Dave O'Neill's room in Fairfield. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, that's just how I am. I go off on tangents like we did at the Comics Lounge the other night, me, you, and Tom Seeger, because Tom runs heaps too.
Dude, he looks fit, man.
Yeah, he still plays footy. Mental.
Oh, does he? I know
Mm.
I know his podcast is like targeted to that whole world of footy. But I saw him the other night, and he just because I did a gig with him up here in Ocean Grove maybe 6 months ago, and I was too busy thinking about his comedy and stuff. I wasn't thinking that much about. I was doing the reverse of you with Luke Kidgel, but he was telling me. And then when I saw him the other night, I was like, mate, he just looked trim. And when he was saying he's gone for
Yeah.
runs like 3 times a week of 15K, like he looks like he's ready to rock and roll over like a half marathon or something.
Yeah, he still runs competitive. Oh, not competitive, but yeah, I see his times on Strava and that. I don't. Yeah, I wish I could run more.
Do you use Strava?
I used to. I don't anymore, but I'd see Tom on there. I ran yesterday and I can't run now for 3 days. That's my body just gets so sore after it.
How far did you go? How far did you run?
I only did 4K, but so I'm doing boxing. I do boxing on the heavy bag or shadow boxing, and that's good. But I still like running. Like I miss it. Yeah, so I just tried to run 4K, but my calves are so sore straight after it. I've got must have a bad gait or whatever they call it.
What are both of your calves sore, or is it just one?
Yeah, both. So it's something to do with my feet or my, pigeon-toed or whatever. But it's a problem.
I was having trouble with my left calf for like 6 months this year, man. Where I'd be able to run 3 runs, and then I would go out and do like my fourth, and I'd get about 3 or 4K in, and I just feel it's like a super tight cramp, or it was a strain, and I couldn't get on top of it. I couldn't figure out what. But for me, it was I had to just start implementing like a little more resistance training. So I've started. I actually haven't been consistent with it, but I bought a skipping rope. I've been doing like a lot of resistance training with my calves, and then I'll just like get into it with a bit of self massage. And man, I haven't had any trouble for 4 months, and I'm only running like 2 or 3 days a week. But like this morning run's pretty solid. Like I'm not just jogging, and that was a game changer. But it's hard to know with calves.
So you reckon skipping strengthened it or something, or?
Well, yeah, for mine, I was doing a little bit of research, and apparently when you strain a calf, it takes a while for the fibers to not only reconnect but then re-strengthen. And I think for me, I was probably running on them a little too soon, like they hadn't fully reconnected or redeveloped, and I was just igniting it again. But I put on the shoes that I kept straining them in this morning, and dude, like they were literally 6 months overdue. Like I shouldn't have been running in those shoes. Yeah. And so that was the first thing I did. I went out and got a new pair, and it was just a laziness thing for me.
What do you spend on runners for good ones?
I'm a bit of a tight ass, man. I try and keep it as close to 100 because it's like anything. There's so
I went over. I was like that as well. I sit around 100, and last time with these New Balance ones, I went 220, and I reckon there was marginal difference, if anything. I don't know.
In terms of support, is that what you're trying to pay more for, or just the look of them?
No, not the look at all. Just support. Like they did feel good, but whether that's mental or not, and I don't know. Like I probably won't go that again. Probably just go back to like bargain basement $100 ones, I reckon.
It's like anything. It's like if you buy an iPhone 7 instead of an iPhone 8, you're going to save yourself $300. Yeah. And the shoe companies come out every year. They've got, Nike Pegasus Fly 27, and then you can get Nike Pegasus Fly 26 for like $200 cheaper. So, and they were telling me last year that they're the best shoes ever invented. So I'm like, all right, I'll just take your word for what you said last year, and I'll try those.
Yeah, they get in your head. They get in your head. Like I do know. Yeah, I can't pick up a tennis racket from 1990. I know that, but I can pick up one from 15 years ago, and it's not. I almost prefer my old rackets than like my brother had new ones, and I had a hit with them, and I'm like, my old ones were there, and I had a hit with them, and I'm like, I still like the old ones, and they were 15 years old.
What has it got like a bit more weight behind it or something?
Just I like the feel of it. I don't know. I just preferred it. They were good. They were good enough. I don't know if they'd progressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it's
just
interesting.
just have the aircon on for a little bit so it doesn't get hot. But yeah, so yeah, mate. Big companies know what they're doing with marketing to get in people's heads and convince you that it's better when it's probably the same. They just need a new model, don't they? Like,
Yeah, it's funny. It just seems to work so well, though. So they're probably not going to. Like, it's just, yeah, you're. Oh, do you mean they need a new model in the sense of whatever they're selling, they need a new model, or a new model in the sense of,
yeah. They have to bring out new stuff. It doesn't
yeah,
mean it's better. It just means they've stopped selling. Everyone's got the other stuff. We need to make people buy more stuff. So let's say this is the new model, the new like the Terminator. There was a new. Remember the new model Terminator? It was better. It didn't win though in the end. So that wasn't a good. That wasn't a good analogy.
What was it though? What do you like? Actual Terminator movie?
Yeah, I was thinking like, because you remember the first Terminator was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the next one was that cop. Have you seen them both?
Yeah, I feel like Terminator 2 was more popular from
So
memory. I
yeah,
never
so
got into Terminator 1.
the next robot was the cop made out of mercury kind of thing, and he melted and came back.
That's
So he was the next model up, but like in the end, he wasn't better.
yes. I needed to know my Terminator history better to get the reference.
The
But
original one was Arnie, and he had bolts and that, but the other one didn't.
dude, such a good
Anyway,
show.
it wasn't a good
Such a
analogy, but it was an analogy.
It's weird with those movies as well. When you grow up, you just think of Terminator as that's all I knew him for. I had no idea about who Arnold Schwarzenegger was or how he picked up that
Mm.
part. Speaking of top athletes, dude, and being competitive, have you seen Pumping Iron?
Yeah.
What a
Oh,
beast!
yeah, but I don't rate bodybuilders as athletes. I don't,
Really?
never have. Anyone can pump weights, and do steroids. I don't like he's dedicated and committed and disciplined, and you can respect that. But I'll throw a tennis ball at him fast, and then I'll judge if he's an athlete or not.
It's not a bad point. I guess the flip side of that argument is it's only some, like, even if they're all doing the steroids and all doing
Mm.
the workouts, there's only those with like that unique DNA which allows their body to express itself in such a nice way that makes it an
Yeah.
athlete. But that's funny, man. It's such a good point. Are there any sports that just aren't sports in your head? Is it even considered a sport? I don't think it would be bodybuilding.
Shane will hate me, but golf. Shane's gonna hate this, but our friend Shane, you know what? I don't care about golf, guys out there. Sorry, it's a weird technique. It's been invented by someone that it makes no sense. Yeah, golf isn't a sport. There you go.
But
Have
don't you
that.
reckon? But when you boil down any sport, nothing really makes sense. Like if you look at footy, it's the idea. Like when you know it, you're like, oh, cool, they're playing footy. But when you
Mm.
boil it down, it's 18 blokes on two teams running around trying to kick a ball through some sticks.
Yeah. Oh, everything makes no sense. But I'll tell you one thing: in golf, you don't run, do you?
Say that again.
In golf, you do not
Oh yeah.
run. There's nothing athletic about it.
But would
I'm
they would
happy to.
measure they would measure your ability. Like golf would be measured in, like, obviously it's not fit because you got Jack Nicholson playing. No, not Jack Nicholson. What's that bloke's name? The big British. No, he's American, and he'd go out and he'd have like a bottle of bourbon the night before and have 15 cigarettes on a round of 9 holes.
John Daly.
John Daly is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to do.
See, that's not an athlete. Like, you're
No.
good at golf, mate. You're good at a game, but you're not an athlete. It's like saying a snooker player is an athlete. No, he's not. Bobsled, the person that lies in it, you're not an athlete, mate. I'll lie in that and do the same. Like, how's that an athlete? I mean, they do run and jump in though, don't they? So I'll give them that. But man, what else? Oh, there's other ones. Have
So
you got one?
like, I'm trying to think. Like, obviously, 10-pin bowling and darts under sort of the rules that we've created. So essentially,
They're games.
saying
They're games. They're not sports,
yes,
are they?
sure.
You don't have to be fit to play darts. You can be, but you don't have to be.
Sure. So we're saying it doesn't require high level fitness. Is that what you mean? Like an athlete is someone who has to be fit and coordinated
Mm.
combined. It
Golf,
can't just be one.
golf. If you had to be to the hole by a certain time, I'll make it a sport. You got 2 minutes to get it in the hole. But if you're just gonna take 17 practice, you don't get practice swings in tennis. Maybe on the serve, sort of, but not during the point.
Yeah, that's funny, man. That's interesting. I wish I hadn't name dropped Aaron Baddeley now. I thought you were going to like that one.
I mean, I
But
respect that. Look, it's hard to get good at golf. Doesn't mean it's a sport. I'll beat every golfer. If we have like a decathlon of sports, I'll go up against John Daly today and be pretty confident I'll beat him at everything except golf.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's definitely not an athlete. It's funny, man, as well. Shane, I guess you can't argue with the logic in the sense that, well, you don't have to be fit, but you just have to be coordinated and well practiced. I don't know. It's weird how we consider a sport. Another weird one for you is, why do we have weight divisions in boxing, but why aren't there weight divisions in running?
Yeah, I know. Like, it's like age groups, isn't it? Like, Floyd Mayweather's meant to be the best boxer all time, but he just gets knocked out if he fights a big dude, doesn't he?
It's so weird. That's so strange. I've got a mate. He's 6'4" and just under 100 kilos, and he's so passionate about this topic. He's like, it's such a joke that you can have weight divisions in boxing. He goes, it should just be, if you want to box, okay, box. This guy's 6'10".
Yeah, let's see who the toughest is. Let's see who the best boxer is in as a human.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's what I like about
unfair. It's probably never going to be a small person, just the way size works. But imagine if it was, though. Like,
that's
that'd
the
be
weird
good.
thing. Have you heard of? I don't know if I'm saying it like they say it in Brazil. It's Hickson or Rickson Gracie.
Hickson Grace. Yeah, they say H. No, they say R as H, don't they? Yeah.
Something like that. I read his book a while ago. It's called Breathe or Breath or something. And some of the story, actually, that's a documentary you should watch. The Hickson Gracie documentary. Have you seen that?
No.
It looks at some mixed martial arts fight back in, I think it was maybe the late 80s, where he was going up against some blokes just all fighting different forms of martial arts. And that's one where you don't have to be the biggest guy to win.
Where the UFC started and that, wasn't it? Sort of.
Something like that. It was weird.
And
I think it was in Japan.
Hoist Gracie won the first couple of UFCs where it was just like a tough man competition, and he fought sumo wrestlers and stuff, and he was choking them out when he was small.
It must have been the same event.
He's a brother. They're brothers, and I'm not sure if Hickson was in it, but it was his family. Yeah, Hoist Gracie definitely won it, the first one, and maybe the first two, and there was no rounds, and there was no time. Yeah, so there was no time limit. You just fought till whoever won. Yeah, it's interesting.
So brutal, man.
But now they got weight divisions in the UFC, obviously. So
yeah, for sure. It is a weird one though. Like it doesn't make that much sense. The weight divisions one, when you boil it down, like I think we just get used to whatever it is that we're watching. That all of a sudden it becomes normal. Hey.
Yeah, it's whatever. Just change the rules, whatever. They change the rules of footy and stuff every time they want to, and it's just, I don't know. What's pure? What's the most pure sport? Like running, the old one.
Have to be running or fighting or something, surely.
I think it's swimming, running. They're the most pure. They've stayed the same because maybe swimming, because there's no equipment, is there?
But there's different strokes. That's what I don't like about swimming.
Yeah, but the fastest one is the one that matters, and that's freestyle.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Like, I don't care about breaststroke. You're doing that because you're not good at freestyle.
It's like hurdling in athletics.
No, you know what it's like in athletics? The walk.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like in athletics.
Yeah, he's a good runner, but he's better at walking. It's like Tyson, you didn't make the running team, but we reckon you can win gold in the walk, mate. Just walk as quick as you can. and run. Yeah, even though the walk looks like half a run. I don't respect walkers in athletics. Sorry.
Nah, I'm not a huge
You're
fan
gonna
of
have
it either.
mates that are walkers calling and going, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about." Yes, I do, mate. I do. I saw a girl get disqualified remember that in Sydney.
Was it Jane Saville?
Yes, and I'm like, she should have just ran.
Yeah, they all should have just been disqualified and done a real sport.
Yeah, except that you weren't good enough to make the Olympics in running and retire and get a job, because that's what happened to you because of that stupid sport where you got to have one foot slightly touching the ground at certain. Mate, get there as quick as you can. That's what it's about.
How do you go with triathlon?
With what?
Triathlon.
What do you mean?
Like in the sense that with triathlon, you have to be very good at each leg, but you don't have to be world class to be the best in the world.
Decathlon even, yeah.
So triathlon, the swim, bike, run, obviously.
Kind of don't mind it because you're still pretty elite, aren't you? Like if you're bad at one of those, you're not winning. Decathlon was a bit different because like you can be terrible at one thing and still, like Bruce Jenner when he won the gold. You know Bruce Jenner?
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner. I don't think Bruce Jenner won an event, but he won the gold.
Yeah.
In that thing. Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't think Bruce Jenner won any of the 10 events, but he won the gold because his average came third or whatever, in each one.
That's so funny. I don't understand how decathlon works, to be honest. I've never really followed it. And I've never really followed it because it's one of those sports where I'm like, so you just, you're not shit in 10 events. In fact, you're quite good. And if you average all those out, you've got the most points.
But if we chuck you in any of those individual events, you're coming last.
I remember being at the Athens Olympics with my dad, and we were watching the men's 800 meters as a part of the decathlon. And I think the winner ran like 2 minutes 4, which is good if you're 12 and you're a runner. But like, it's such a
yeah, that's what I mean. Your 2 minutes. What's that for? The 8.
The 8. It might have been a bit faster, but it wasn't. It might have been just under 2, which is pretty good if you're just a club runner. But if you're on a world stage at the Olympics and 2:04 is the bar, it's like, surely I can get at least 2:04 good in every other sport and beat you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, you could have. So you focused on one sport. You should have just done every sport average, and you'd be like a Daley Thompson winner. Yeah, you'd win the decathlon just with your 2:04 under 12s time, and then try and do the 110 hurdles in like 13 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. That's probably people that do decathlon and that are probably smart. They're like, I'm not very good and I'm still in the Olympics.
It's so true. It's funny, man. And runners are going to hate it, but it's the same in the distance running scene. It's like, if you're not quite fast enough over 3K or 5K, see how you go. Can you run close to that pace with hurdles and do steeplechase?
Steeplechase, yeah. It's the harness racing of humans.
It is. It's exactly right. It's exactly right.
It's the indoor cricket of of running. Yeah. Yeah, like why isn't a steeplechaser? Exactly. That's weird. Like, you're putting events in for people that aren't that good at the others.
Yeah. Or if we want to take a leaf out of swimming's book, why can't we do, we'll do the sprints, but then we'll also do a backwards run and a sideways shuffle. They're like your breaststrokes and your backstrokes.
Yeah, Nicole Stevenson, remember her? She was like backstroker. There's always, Lenny Kraselberg at the Sydney Olympics was an elite backstroker. I'm like, I translate to not that good at freestyle. Lenny Kraselberg.
It's so true.
And in tennis equivalent is, he's the number one doubles player in the world.
Yeah.
Translation. Can't play singles. He's all right at it, you know, but he's not.
You can't argue with it. You can't argue with it. And you have your real passionate sports fans who try and justify it. But in the end, the ultimate measure is, all right, put him at the other side of the net to Djokovic and see how he goes by himself.
Yeah, he's the equivalent in comedy. He's a good MC. Yeah, he's not. He's all right comedian, but he's a really good MC. That'd be like
funny, man. That's funny.
Yeah, I reckon that's the equivalent. You focus on that because you can get a job in that, but not if you're not elite at the other.
That's so true.
I'm going to think of more during today. Now, all I'll be doing is thinking of the steeplechase equivalent of sports. That's where my head's going today. And I've got stuff to do, but I'll be occupied with that.
There's endless. It's like playing 10-pin bowling with the bumpers on a little bit.
Yeah.
That kind of, no one cares. You can score 300, but it was a fluke.
It's like you want to be a wiggle, but you're on high five.
or for all the young parents out there, what are they called? The beanies. You wouldn't have even heard of the beanies yet. That's a step up. They're aiming to get to the level of high five.
Yeah. It's that.
Oh,
it's like
my kid's obsessed with them. Every time he turns the TV on, I want to smash it. Yeah.
How old's your kids now?
One of them's 2 and 2 months, Charlie.
Yeah.
And Ollie's 6 weeks, man. Like super fresh.
He's fresh. Is he coordinated, the 2-year-old? Can you tell?
Getting there. I think he's got elements to his personality that makes me think he's going to be a little athlete. Like he's a good little runner. Like he's pretty fast and he can stay on his feet for ages. He's the coordination thing I'm not sure about just yet. He likes kicking a ball, but he can catch a big ball. But if you throw a little ball at him, it's like the hand-eye coordination isn't quite there yet. So I'm just trying to build his confidence with like the blow-up beach ball at the moment.
Have you heard the Andre Agassi story about his dad? Have I told you that one? I would have, wouldn't I?
No, I don't think so.
So Andre Agassi's dad used to be like a cleaner at a one of those ranch tennis club. What are they called? Country club thing, right? And America played a Davis Cup match there. US played a Davis Cup tennis match there, which is the countries against countries. It's a big deal at this club where Andre Agassi's dad worked. Anyway, Arthur Ashe was the captain of the American Davis Cup team, or the coach, but they call it the captain. Anyway, Andre Agassi's dad goes up to Arthur Ashe and goes, "Hey, my son is going to win the Davis Cup, Wimbledon, US Open, all the Grand Slams one day." And Arthur Ashe goes to Andre Agassi's dad, "Oh, that's awesome. I'd love to meet him. Bring him out. Bring him here. I'd love to meet the little kid, you know." And Andre Agassi's dad goes, "Oh, no, he's not born yet." So Agassi's dad had decided before he even had a child that what his kid was going to be. That's insane, right?
That's insane, man. I feel like it's so inspiring, and I feel like that towards my boy with AFL a little bit. But I'm also like, crap, I want to encourage it and guide it and help him develop. But I'm like, I don't know if I've got that Tiger Woods dad, Andre Agassi dad kind of factor to me. Where I'm like, right, this is where you go.
Don't do it, because there's that risk that they'll hate you, man. And you don't want that. You bet. And there's a lot of parents that don't. There's a lot of examples where you don't have to do that. If the kid loves it, he loves it. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm more interested in.
Federer's parents are really good and they're relaxed about everything, and he turned out fine.
Yeah, it's so true.
So you don't have to do that.
It's a bloody good story, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think it would have been good to have a parent like that, but then you go, but what if it went wrong? Like,
seriously, you just hate your dad.
Yeah, I mean, there was a coach called Gavin Hopper that he decided his daughter was going to be a tennis player, but she's got to hit this many balls by a certain age, all this robotic stuff, and then she just didn't grow, man, and she was too small, so it was waste. It was it was a waste of time.
Yeah, yeah, it's so
Like
true.
she grew 5 foot, 1 or whatever, not big enough to compete with the big Russian girls and that.
It's hard to
So
argue with fate, isn't it? It's like my 6'4" mate that I was telling you about before. Some people are just genetically better. Like I'll go to the
mm,
gym with him and I'll be a hero and I'll try and get 2 reps of 80 on the bench press. And he won't
mm.
go to the gym for 12 months and he'll come in and just start repping 80s like it's nothing. I'm like, all right, it doesn't matter how much I train. You're more naturally suited to this sport than what I am.
Yeah, but
Weird in that.
if he goes for a run with you, no chance as well.
That's why we always finish those gym sessions with a run.
Let him know.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, man. I'll let you go in a minute. Are you gigging tonight?
Yeah. I've got to go to Lilydale.
Oh, what gig's that? No. I was thinking. I saw an ad for you at the new Collingwood room next week or something.
Oh yeah. Next week, I think I've got that.
Yeah.
But yeah, tonight Lilydale. Tomorrow I'm up near the snow, and then I'm back in Gippsland on Saturday. So I'm all over.
Where in Gippsland
What
are
are you
you?
doing? You got any gigs in the next few nights?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Melbourne tonight and tomorrow night. I'll try and do.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I'll go to Eltham tonight, which is a bit of a hike from here.
Ah, yeah, I did that run. I've done that. It's nice there. Go on. Are you on late or earlier?
Yeah. Mate, I've made that mistake of going up early.
Yeah, I did that. Go on early. Yeah, go on late if you can, because then everyone's had dinner and stuff after that.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and treat it as a tonight. I've just got a whole heap of new stuff that I'm going to chuck out there. It's one of those kind of rooms where I'm
Yeah.
super comfortable just chucking out whatever.
Yeah, my friend
And then,
Sinead runs.
Yeah, she's a
Sinead
gun.
runs
I
it,
love
yeah.
Sinead, man.
Yeah, it's all right, that room.
I'll see. I'm up a bit late, so I might not make it, but I might stop by Dirty Secrets on the way and see if I can get there as well.
Oh yeah. Why not? Bang out a couple.
That's
I
what I
think
try
there's
and
one
do.
down your way tonight. Tracy's doing one down your way. I don't know
Oh, it
where
might be
though.
tomorrow
Maybe,
at the brewery, is it, or is it tonight?
no, I think it's tonight. Maybe one of Evan's ones. I don't know. Maybe Ocean Grove. I don't know actually.
Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah, Ocean Grove's just around the corner. How'd you go in Torquay the other night, dude? I rocked up a day early.
Yeah, I'm like, where is he? Then, it was all right. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was good. Like the room was echoey and that, but it was a good gig. It went well.
Yeah,
You know what
sweet.
we're like. Everything has to be perfect, but the crowd don't know that stuff. They had fun.
Yeah,
It was
awesome,
it was
man.
good. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was fun.
Yeah, good chat, man.
Bloody oath.
I like that. I'll be thinking about other examples.
Yeah,
Of
message him through to me.
Steeplechase.
Oh, dude. I'm going to have some lunch, bro.
Yeah, mate. All right. Well, yeah. Make sure you tell everyone I'd been working out. I'm not usually that sweaty.
Oh, what workout did you say you did? What did you do before?
Boxing.
Oh, nice, man.
Mm.
Yeah, sweet.
All good.
All right, brother. Oh, thanks for coming on. That was good to talk to you.